Okay, let's go ahead and get started then. Sorry we're 5 minutes late, but great turnout. Thank you everybody for coming and arranging your schedules today to make a 4 o'clock meeting to talk about Brittany Golf Course. I'm Jason Lloyd. I'm the chairman of the golf committee. Will the rest of the golf committee please stand up? We have Susan, Steve McKee, Mark Deal, Phil Spencer. Dean is on his way, and Mary, yes, I'll get you, Bruce. Mary's playing golf. She's on a trip. We also have our board members here. Raise your hand, because I think most of you are standing. Mike, David, Jerry, Bruce. I can't see that far, Jim. I think I got Ruth. Yep, there you are, Ruth. Hi, Ruth. And then I think we have some of our candidates here also. I know Steve's here, obviously. John Nuttall, Tia. All right, thanks everybody for coming. This will be live streamed on the website and will be recorded and made available also on the website. A little housekeeping before we get started. Would everybody do me a favor and please silent or buzz your phones? We don't want to hear Led Zeppelin or AC/DC or anything as we're going through this. We'd appreciate it. I need to make sure mine is. All right, good. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. One last thing, let's make sure we stay respectful to our fellow members and your committee and board during this. We've all put in a lot of work to make this happen. I want to thank the Reardon Hall folks for setting this up and the staff of the POA. I know there's going to be Daryl's staff's going to be around the tables, Tom's staff, and everybody. Just thanks for helping the golf committee put this together for our members. So, I'm going to skip through a couple of these because I just talked and didn't hit the button, I think. This way? I can just keep talking. Oh, there we go. Introductions, we did that already. Agenda, there we go. So the overview of this, obviously, is to discuss Brittany and what we're going to do with it. The financial considerations, the usage, and the feedback process. The goal, obviously, is to seek input from you, our members, and golfing and trails, other amenity people, members. And we and the board of directors have not made a decision. I want to make that very clear. There has not been a decision. I know there's some things going around, but no decision has been made on closing of Brittany. That's why we're all here. And there's no plans to close any additional courses. In July 18, the board did approve some resolutions on Burksdale North that it remains open, triggering any devastating, triggering event of devastating flood, and Kingswood will be open as the rounds continue over 165. Investing in funds will be looked at flood issues, and excuse me, and it will remain open, as we said, until there's a triggering event. What is a triggering event? If I can hit, there we go. A triggering event, if rounds decrease below 120,000, the board may look at considering closing another golf course. And they will take all reasonable measurements we will continue to take all reasonable measurements to continue to increase rounds here in Bella Vista. Flood damage could also result in reevaluation of the golf courses. This is a good one. The repurposing of Brittany. This has been a catch-22. There have been, if we would have developed plans in advance for repurposing, members we felt would say, oh, they're going to close it. There's no questions, they're going to close it. If we did not develop any plans, then same thought process is going to go out. So again, there's been no decision, And right now, there are no plans of any sort of repurposing other than possibly a park, a natural park, but no other plans have been developed for repurposing Brittany. Your golf committee's next step, and there's another one in there that we didn't put in. We kind of made a decision today. We're here obviously to listen to input from our members. On May 29th, the golf committee will have a special meeting at 4 o'clock in the boardroom to review all the input, the emails we've been receiving, the communication, the conversations we've been having, and of course what happens at this meeting. The resolution will be discussed at the June 5th, and note that we moved that meeting up a Wednesday because of the APT tournament. So we're having it a Wednesday a week earlier, so June 5th at the boardroom, and then we will forward the recommendation to the board of directors. The board's next steps are consider the recommendations that we will give them, the golf committee will give them, and then they will, at the June 20th and then the regular board meeting, and make the decision at that point. We chose the June meeting because this is when the first meeting for the newly elected board. This is just a quick overview of Brittany. I think most of us in here know. The course is adjacent to Commonwealth, and if I say it wrong, I'm sorry, Udston, is that how you, Houston, and crosses over the road here and there, and it's out by the Metfield complex. Beep. So why Brittany? Yes, rounds have dropped over 30% in the last 2 years at Brittany. It's a narrow and unforgiving. It's very challenging for beginners. It's very challenging for beginners, and it's an executive short course and not a regulation length hole, 9-hole course. Since Burksdale was reopened, it appears, it appears that the migration from Brittany has gone to Burksdale, the 9-hole at Burksdale, based off the increased rounds there. Let's keep the side comments to a minimum until we can break out into our groups, please. You're going to have the opportunity in your group. Thank you. Let's define a park. What does that look like? Mainly looks the same, mowed weekly versus daily. Greens grow row height, significantly less fertilizer and chemicals used. Cart paths will become walking paths, and no capital investment will be required. We're defining what a park is, if that is the direction that the conversation goes. That's all we're doing. Just, it'll be okay. We'll have time for your comments when you're in your groups, okay? Thank you. Hey, let me get through this, and then we'll have discussions around your tables. Okay. Where am I backing up to? No. We're defining what a park is. You'll understand this when you get in your groups for discussions. Yes. Yes, there will be. There? I'm going to. Oh, you're welcome. Since repurposing Branchwood into a park, it reopened in 2016 with 1.5 miles of walking trails. Disc golf was added later. Additional parking spaces were put in to meet demand. and there's been a neutral or positive impact actually on the property values. The maintenance costs is significantly less. So what if there is a flood? We've expressed concerns that if Brittany's closed due to a flood, or sorry, if Burksdale closes due to a flood, where would we play? Are the 9-hole groups willing to include Brittany on the rotation? These are just questions. And on May 1st, when we had the last flood that we had, Dogwood and Brittany were the only 2 courses open. Dogwood was full, and Brittany had 10 golfers total. The day of the last one, we had the last flood when the other courses were closed, yes. Wednesday, yes. Susan. You can go over the top of those.
Hi. So I'm the one that got tasked with talking about the numbers. Okay? So this particular slide, if we back it up a little and not just think about Brittany, but think about the POA as a whole, what you have here is this is the amount of the assessment subsidy by recreational area. So the first column is golf. So in golf, last year, the POA subsidized golf by $2.2 million. No, that's for all of the courses, okay? And that number has been fairly consistent for about 5 years, give or take 100,000 or so, okay? We'll get to that in a few minutes, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. The purple one is food and beverage, and remember that's a new division that really just started last year. Recreation is $863,000. The trails is $35,000, and lakes is $374,000. So as you can see there, golf takes the lion's share of the subsidy. Okay. Okay, and just to make another point here, this is taken after all of our fees are considered. This is what's left over that the community pays. Okay. And the next one, this is about capital projects. So the first one included golf operations and golf maintenance. So that's the day-to-day operating expense. These are the big projects. So this was the redoing of the Scottsdale greens and the sand traps and the clubhouse, the collars at Highlands, the traps and the cart path work at Brittany and Country Club and all those things. Not Brittany, I'm sorry, Dogwood. Yeah, Brittany didn't get anything. And also the any of the maintenance costs over $10,000. So for example, last year when the the control went out at Scottsdale, that goes into capital projects. Okay. So over the last 5 years, golf has gotten 32% of the total capital for the POA. Okay. And then that other section is Lake Point, Country Club, blah, 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 on, and a lot of the stuff that MAC does. These are our total rounds that have been played since 2008, so that's a 10-year trend. You'll notice we have one year that was a nice little blip. That was the perfect year. We had a warm winter, a cool summer, and no rain. And like it or not, weather is a big determining factor of how much golf we play. Okay. But as you can see, this is a trend it's consistent. It's almost a straight line trend year after year after year. And I mean, we can all talk about the reasons for that, but that's just what it is. Okay. Now this is a comparison by the courses, okay? And we divided up by Brittany, Burksdale, and others, not because Burksdale's the next to go, but it's because it's a marketing offering of a 9-hole course as opposed to an 18-hole course. And we know for the 18-hole courses, depending on what's open or closed, the rounds just move around between the courses. So when Scottsdale is closed, the rounds just go to Country Club and Highlands. Okay, so that's why we took an average of those. This is for last year. Per course. Per course, okay? So you can see there that Brittany had 5,819 rounds, and that was down from over 78, I think, the year before that. And again, it's been a 30% decrease. I got a slide on that too. Burksdale is at 11,800. Now that's considerably less than what was played when it was an 18-hole course. But it's actually not, been about that since it reopened. It's been pretty consistent. And then for our 18-hole courses, it's around 25,000. This is for one course. You know, so those all others is an average of the 5 18-hole courses. Okay, and you'll get to talk about that, okay? Okay, so our 9-hole offerings are Brittany, which is a short course, and Burksdale, which is a full-length regulation 9-hole course. Okay. These are all rounds. $148,000 last year, total rounds. And here, a round is a round. So if it's a 9-hole round or if it's an 18-hole round, it counts the same. All courses are there, 148,000. Okay. Okay, now this chart, the blue line is the number of rounds. Oh, 73,000, 7,300. So the blue line is the round. So you can see it went from 8,346 in 2016 down to 5,819. Okay. And the revenue dropped from 79 down to 50. Well, none of our courses are profitable. No, wait, we'll get to that number in a minute, okay? That's the next slide, okay? But none of our courses make a profit. Remember that slide a while back where where the community pays $2.5 million or $2.2 million? Okay, that's what your assessments are contributing to golf, okay? So it was really this dramatic decrease that helped prompt the discussion of this meeting, okay? The rounds going down and the revenue going down. Okay, I'll take a direct question. Yes. Yes, that's included in that. Well, it's always fruit salad. No matter what's happening, every year you have something. Right. Sir, after the meeting, come and give me your name and I'll send you a report. Okay? We can send you a link. Okay, Tom?
All right, here we go. So people have asked, how do you save money by closing a golf course? Okay, so we've talked about having a savings of $45,000, $46,000. How do you have a savings when you close a golf course because you bring in revenue? Okay, now don't forget that Susan went over a slide just a little bit ago, and all our amenities are subsidized. And that's part of the reason why we have a POA, is we subsidize golf, we subsidize the lakes and so forth, but we subsidize golf more so than the other ones. Okay, now if you look at the top, I'm going to use this laser pointer and hopefully it works. All right, so as a golf course and as a park. So here's the comparison, okay? Okay, hold on. No shouting from the back. Hey, we talked about respect. Listen, you'll have an opportunity. So here we go. Sir, we can get you a chair and you can move up front. Okay, so here we go. Now, this entire presentation will also be made available on the website. Okay, so if you'd like to go through it at your leisure, you can do so. All right, so hold on. I got too many things going on. Okay, and there we go. All right, so here's revenue. All right, I got one slide. I'm going to go through it real quick here. Here's revenue. At Brittany, we brought in $50,000 worth of revenue last year. Now, yes, that's how much we brought in. Okay, stop interrupting me. Be polite. Stop. Okay, well, I haven't. Okay, so what happens when we close a golf course? When we're closed for revenue, for repair, when we're closed for there's a tournament going on. What ends up happening is in most cases those rounds move to another golf course. Okay, they don't go away. If you were a singular golf course and you closed, you lose all that revenue. But what our experience is if you close one golf course, the residents migrate to another golf course. Okay, so we're anticipating that approximately 80% of those rounds will migrate over, okay? They'll go, instead of, if Brittany were to be closed and it were now a park, they would then play at Birksdale, or they would play at one of the other golf courses. Now, not everybody's going to transfer over. Some people are going to say, no, I don't like that golf course. I'm not going to play. Brittany's my favorite. So that's why we said 100% wasn't going to move over. Only about 80%. Now let's look at the expenses. We all know that golf courses are expensive to manage, okay? So we have payroll. Now, by turning it into a park, you don't have to mow as often, okay? You mow almost daily when it's a golf course. You mow weekly when it's a park. You just don't need to mow as often. You save a lot on labor, so we would not have to hire seasonal staff. As a result, employee benefits like payroll taxes, and medical benefits and so forth would reduce. Also, your supplies. Now, this is a big drop here. You have almost $27,000, but you're going to eliminate flags, poles, so forth. But the biggest savings is going to be in fertilizer and chemicals, because when it's a golf course, we put down pre-emergent herbicides so we don't get weeds. We have to fertilize to make sure the grass is growing. When it's a park, you don't have to use quite as much, and there's a large savings. Okay? And we've seen this savings on Birksdale South. Okay? That is now a park, if you want to call it, and we've seen that. So we have experience in doing these calculations. Okay, maintenance and repair. This is going to go down also because you will no longer have to use mowers quite as much. If you don't use them as much, they don't break down as much, they don't have to be repaired as much. Outside contracts, okay, we would be able to eliminate tree pruning. Professional services eliminate greens-related soil testing. So they do testing on the greens, but if it's no longer a green, you don't have to do that testing. Insurance is by and large going to stay the same. Utilities will go down a little bit because if you're doing less mowing and less spraying of fertilizer and chemical, you have less diesel to power the mowers and have them go out. Postage stays around the same. Uniforms go down just a little bit because you have fewer employees. So this is what our expenses are. Here's our revenue. We talked about subsidy. Okay, we have to subsidize golf, subsidize a lot of our amenities. Okay, So here's our revenue that we bring in. Here's the expense. That's how much it costs to run the golf course. So in a normal year, we save, it costs us almost $78,000 to keep Brittany open. Okay? Now, if it becomes a park, that number goes down quite a bit because of the cost. Look at the large savings right here. That's where you're going to save quite a bit. Now, as a result, that's how you get to this savings of $46,000. And as I indicated previously, since we closed Birksdale South, we have a pretty good idea of where the savings are going to be. So this isn't just guessing. This is based upon historical data. So there's that. And next one up. Thank you.
I do want to reiterate one thing. I know with going over the numbers and some of the things, I want to reiterate there has been no decision to do anything. That is why we are here. Yeah, okay. We know it's an emotional thing. It's emotional for all of us to play golf, but we want to give everybody the facts so we can make a good decision in when you guys are talking in your group. So, but there has not been a decision made. So, moving right along. There will be, now we're going to break out into the group discussions. So there will be a facilitator per table. There will be 20 minutes of discussion. Obviously the pros, benefits of keeping it open, keeping or closing it, the negatives, and then let's get creative on how could we repurpose the land if we went that direction, or more importantly, let's keep it open and see how we can increase rounds and the revenue. So that's what we're getting ready to go into this next section. The group, let me hit the button again. All right, so again, please be respectful of everybody's view, no matter what it is. Select a leader in each of your groups to present, and we prefer that not to be the facilitator. And as you present your top 3 or 4 comments, and there's flip charts on every table to track the comments. We will consolidate and all of those flip charts at the end with all the other information and go through and see what we're going to do. Again, this meeting was recorded and available on the website. So 20 minutes, everybody have a nice discussion. Remember your neighbors and your members. Let's be respectful, please. I'll go over that right now. Okay, so each table, make sure you've nominated a speaker. You just nominated yourself for your table, didn't you? Oh, you got it? Okay. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go and with the size of the room, give us your top 2 or 3. Give us your top 2 or 3 on your pad. And then if you brought notes with you, just leave those on the table so we can collect those after everybody leaves and have those. I know some people brought some letters and some notes. So if you could just leave those on your table, we will make sure we get that compiled with everything else. As we go through each table, can I have everybody's attention, please? This is important. Thank you. As we go through each table, if your table has a similar comment, please raise your hand. And the reason we're doing that is so we can make sure we note 5 tables said the same thing or something like that. And that will also, okay, and that will also give you the opportunity to skip that one. And if you have 10, you can still get 2 or 3 in. And I believe that is it. Susan is going to make sure it is noted,
guys, ready for-
the
ready for
topics
first up.
or the
Who's your speaker?
comments are noted up here. So if she doesn't type it correctly or you mean something else, have your facilitator wave to Susan so we can make sure it is 100% correct. Okay? So we're going to pass the mic around. Tom's going to carry the mic around. We're going to start over at the table by the flags.
Quiet, please.
And
Quiet, please.
Everybody, thank you.
Thank you all. Here's the representative for first table.
Hi, we have some pros, a couple of pros and several cons. So the pros were it would save money if we closed Brittany, and it would also allow neighbors to use it as a walking park area. Our cons are top three. First, it's the only 9-hole course that does not flood.
Who all had that?
Second, it has increased vandalism and litter already. Are you going to be nice to me or what? The third one was we can't use Brittany as a backup course if Birchdale floods. If we kept it open, we could use it as a backup. More people would use it as a backup course.
Ideas?
Oh, our ideas are to market First Tee and to youth groups, and propose golf and food package.
Hold on. Sorry. First tee. Her first tee comment. People.
Market.
Put your hands up again. I want to get it wasn't all, so I want to get Thank you. Okay, that's good. Thanks.
Who's the speaker? I'll speak. Your speaker? Okay, so make sure you bring up the limit to 2 points, okay?
Oh, just 2 points?
2 to 3 points. On each side. Okay. Go for it, buddy. Stand up, please.
Thank you.
Are you ready for me to speak?
Yes.
On the pros of closing, we couldn't think of any, primarily because of the fact it only saves less than $50,000 to close the course, and that's pocket change.
Who else had that? Thank you.
The other cons are, people moved to that area because they wanted to live on a golf course. And so by closing a golf course, we've undermined people's intentions in moving to Bella Vista. But primarily, the savings are just too small. And so what we need to be thinking about is how do we get more people using that golf course? And the way that we thought about doing that is doing things like making it very cheap, making a place where people go to learn how to play golf, make there be family rates where your whole family can play golf very cheaply, promote other sorts of things just to make that course be like the place you go to learn how to go play golf, then get hooked into golfing so that later on you move on to other courses.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very good. Who's the leader? You're the leader?
Can we please keep the side conversations down a little bit? I'm having a hard time hearing. Thank you.
Okay, from a standpoint of keeping the course open, we felt that keeping it as an insurance policy of Birchdale closing is our number one. I think we've already got that up there. I think it's important. The other thing that is we thought was a good thing for Brittany is that Brittany is probably the only course where you could play early tee times without a reservation if you wanted to walk up and play. So that we thought that was good. We also thought that for all those homeowners that have purchased houses or condos on the golf course, that their property value may be affected, and there may be some cost of litigation if someone got smart enough and wanted to sue the POA for taking away that advantage. I think it's different than closing Branchwood, because on Branchwood there weren't a lot of houses that were right on the golf course, where Brittany we have a lot of over 200 houses or condos on the golf course that have a golf course view. That may be a problem that we haven't looked at. The other thing that we thought is along the promotional lines is promote Brittany to do other things other than just regular tea times. In other words, have things like once a month or once every couple of weeks, a one-man scramble event where everybody they come in and just play a scramble event, or offer some sort of a family scramble event once or twice a month to encourage people to come out and start using the facility more. That should increase rounds and increase revenue. And the last thing that I would like to mention is I think it's important for the higher handicap golfers on Brittany to be able to play it forward. There isn't any play with forward tees, and I think it's a difficult golf course for high handicappers on par fours that have to hit over a ravine or that you're hitting into a hill. You get no roll, and you're playing your second shot when you get to it on a very uphill lie. So adding a play of forward tees to Brittany, I think, would be important to do.
Good. Thank you.
Well, I'm representing the women's 5-hole golf group because we play exclusively on Brittany. And we play every Monday, early times, from April through October. And my first comment would be, if Brittany is closed, our group would have to dissolve because we will not be able to get tee times that are desirable on any of the other courses. They're already full. All the desirable tee times are full. So that's my first point that I want to bring up. And we invite new golfers to play with us. If a woman has gone through the academy or any kind of lessons and they have a desire to learn how to play golf and they want to play, we welcome them into our group. We aren't a real fast group, and that's why we have been criticized if we play on other teams or other courses, because we've tried that in the past. And they come around and say, you got to speed up, you got to do something faster. You can't do that if you're an inexperienced player. And it's also important, we think that it's important to be able to have a place where people can take their children and their grandchildren and go play some golf. And another point, I know it's more than 2 or 3, but I think it's important. The greens at Brittany are Bermuda grass. It's the same as Scottsdale. We lost a lot of golfers when we were transitioning. The course had 2 or 3 greens that were closed at any one week or for a month, and so we lost a lot of golfers. That may be why Brittany went down, and it's never come back up on the rounds. I don't know, but I know we lost a lot in our group. But they're beautiful greens. It's a great golf course. Now, for promotions, we feel that it could be promoted as a learn-to-play golf course. Again, with new golfers, Brittany is a great place to start playing, and it is a challenging course. If any of you have not played it, I would encourage you to do that. It is a challenging course. And from a standpoint of the fees, if you want to raise them a couple bucks, our group certainly wouldn't complain. Brittany is...
Thank you. That's a good one. Who has that on their table?
I mean, Brittany is the cheapest place that you can play right now. We would we would pay a couple more dollars. That would be fine.
Okay.
Other promotional things.
Please. Last
Okay.
one, if you don't mind.
Last thing, if you're going to promote Brittany, promote it. And we have no apparel for Brittany. All the other golf courses have apparel. We don't have any. And I think that would be another way to promote it. And I think a lot of the other things have already been mentioned.
Thank you.
Well, everybody took most of ours, but okay. Well, most of the 18-hole courses are always booked with the groups, and I think this has been covered a little bit. But when people call in for a starting time just for themselves, which I'm from California and you always did that air courses, there's no starting times. Do they refer them to Brittany? I don't think so. They need to start referring calls to Brittany for people to go walk on and start playing.
Okay.
That's number one. I noticed when you indicated we have a $46,000 loss when you were talking about closing Brittany and how much you would save by putting a park in there. How much is it going to cost to maintain that park? That amount should be deducted from the $46,000. It was? All right, I missed that. So did our whole group. I don't want to take all the blame. How much does it take to maintain the Branchwood Park, do you know?
We use the we use the Branchwood numbers to create the Brittany numbers.
Well, do you all right. I'm not familiar with all the parks here, but according to everybody at my table, we already have about 8 parks in Bella Vista. Why do we need another one? And you know, and I have to take issue. I have to take a little bit of issue with you standing at that microphone and saying, we haven't considered closing Brittany, but then you spent about 80% of your conversation on park. 80% of it about, because I kept track. So you've been talking about a park, and it's in your minds to close Brittany. I hope you don't have closed minds. My last one that I'll say here, do you think the stump dump has caused those rounds to decrease? Yeah. And the people sitting here at the people sitting here at the table with me, evidently a lot of them live on Brittany. You used to have a restaurant there. You took it out. Is there any plans for a restaurant back in there? Yeah, well, the Mexican restaurant was good. And the last thing I'll say is it really galls me to sit and watch television where you advertise $199 for 6 rounds. I live here. I'm a member. It costs me more to play a round of golf than they do on television.
Thank you.
A lot of the subjects have already been covered, but as far as cons, first and foremost, no one in this room wants a park. As was mentioned, we have plenty of parks. Adding another park is going to add more people that are not POA members. We're going to have more patrolling by the POA that has to be done. And these are people that live directly on the golf course that don't want outsiders traipsing through their backyards. The other con is you're going to lose golfers. This is the only golf course that does not flood, period. As far as creative ideas, we need to market the heck out of this golf course. There is zero marketing done on any of the courses that inside here, much less Brittany. Let's go to Top Golf. It's opening this fall. Let's give some cards to the kids to learn how to play golf up here. Let's get some golf pros to market to the women and the children to learn to play golf. Let's get the grandkids out here. Let's get the children. You say you want to promote to the younger families and have them move up here into properties. Guess what? Let's get together with some child care providers and get some child care so these younger moms can get out of the house. I have 7 stay-at-home mothers on my street alone. Let's get some child care. Let's get these young women out into our community and show them this is a golfing community. This is why you moved here. Again, we need to add Brittany to the overall golf schedule. When you call in and you need a tee time, there's nothing wrong with playing this golf course twice if you want to golf. So you're going to cancel your golf plans rather than go to Brittany. Doesn't make sense. Add it to the schedule. We need to get back in partnership with First Tee. They're a great provider. They do a great service. Why they're not up here at Brittany teaching these kids how to golf and giving them tee times, I don't know. We need to make that happen. Also, again, raise the fees. What you hear consistently is, I don't mind paying a couple extra dollars. It's right there. It doesn't flood. It's a beginner's course. Let's make it happen.
Thank you.
That'd be me. Okay, so we agree that it would be a loss of a great senior course and a course for beginners. We're very concerned about vandalism, if it would be turned into a park. These are all cons, because people have their decks smack dab up against the course, and what's going to stop the public from coming in and vandalizing the place? We're going to need more police, job security for you people. There's going to be more trash, and there's going to be a lot more noise. Golfers are pretty quiet when they go by. And furthermore, there's going to be a lot of trespassing, because where are these people going to park if they're going to go to a park there? It's not like they're just going to ride their bike in. Not good. And we agreed, as far as our pros and creative ideas, we believe that Brittany is not marketed at all. You know? I mean, let's have an annual pass, shall we? I'm great at buying annual passes, and then I don't use them, so they're going to make a lot of money off of me. And specials and glow golf and all sorts of things that could be done there that is just not being done. So closing it is just... Yeah, it's a great place. This would be a con to losing it. There would be a loss of a place for young families to go to golf after work.
Thank you. Good stuff.
I'm Marilyn Jansen, and some of you have a paper that I put out there. I am the one of the coordinators of the Metfield Mommies. We play Tuesday morning. I also play with the 5-hole ladies at Metfield, and so I really have a very vested interest in continuing Brittany as a golf course. Most of the things that we talked about at our table have been covered by other groups, but one other possible improvement would be to use 15-inch cups. Has anybody ever played with those? They are a lot of fun. It makes it a lot easier for a beginning golfer, and it would be something that would be a novelty. So throw that one out.
Thank you. You got it.
Unfortunately.
Okay, next table.
Yes, our table basically covered many things that's already been brought up, so I'm just going to go to summarizing that basically we felt that before we close a course, it really needs to have the benefit of being marketed. And I don't feel that, and no one here at the table felt that it really is marketed. It's not talked about, it's not promoted in any way, and people aren't directed there to play. So maybe family passes. We talked about increasing the fees and making the larger cups. And as people are moving into the area, part of the marketing from real estate agents can be that there is a special course for beginners, children, family. Brittany.
Thank you.
Thanks. In the spirit of not repeating some of the same things we've heard all over, I'll skip over some of it. One of the things that I've heard, but not quite as directly as one of the gentlemen at our table put it, is, so, what would be a problem with closing this course? Well, the course is an asset, a very valuable asset to Bella Vista. Why would you want to lose an asset to create a park? Would be one. On the creative side, we've talked about a lot of things. We talked about it could be a good course for beginners if a few adjustments are made around moving some of the tee boxes up. Certainly great for seniors. Family play, we've talked about first tee already. And been mentioned before, let's increase the fees. $45,000, somebody said, is a rounding error. If you have to increase the fees $1 or $2, I don't think that anybody would jump off a bridge. 9-hole tournaments, parent, children, grandparents, grandchildren tournaments, maybe a way to market it differently. You could even take a look at going the other direction and making Dogwood a 27-hole course as opposed to just an 18, where you could alternate 9s. And then last but not least, is try to find creative ways to get some of the golf leagues that we all play in on different courses to the course. That's pretty much it.
Thank you.
Who's talking?
Thank you, dear.
I came to this table a little late, but reading over what was written, everything has basically been covered, except one thing, I think it's been mentioned a little bit, but another park, not really what everybody wants, because with the experience of Burksdale not being as pretty, it wouldn't be as attractive as it is right now. And then property value decrease is another big one.
Thank you.
Who's speaking? There you go.
So we found it kind of funny that although none of us have spent any time really talking, we all kind of came to some of the basic consensuses. So really all we want to say is we don't believe that we have fully capitalized on the gem that Brittany could be, particularly as we try to involve the youth and families and try to revive Bella Vista as a golf community. When we continually see that downward spiral, I mean, we're just going to throw up our hands and say, okay, we're no longer a community where golf is one of the recreational anchors. I don't think anybody here wants that. I'm not a golfer, but I love the fact that it's there for people that do, because my husband likes to golf, and you know, I have grown kids that kind of like to come and play. And so we are totally against Brittany becoming a park, because really what you've suggested is it just sits as is and we mow it once a week. And like they said, it's going to be an increase in vandalism. And then I guess 10 years from now, we'll be having another meeting trying to figure out what we're going to do, because it's completely and utterly dilapidated at that point. We think that if we marketed to the schools, if we marketed to the families, if we used it like someone said, that glow tournament, it would bring in that youth that we need to start going, hey, this is kind of a fun sport. Let's pick it up. And again, if you're looking to get rid of $45,000, is this really the course to do it in? Because like everybody's saying, this is the only one when the flooding happens that doesn't flood. So is this, if you really have to cut $45,000, is this the place to do it?
Thank you.
Thank you. Everything that we had on our list has been covered, except for one thing, and I might have missed it. But to my knowledge, it's one of the only courses that could truly be walked without getting run over. I live on the course like many of you. And I've spoke to a lot of the golfers out there that play Brittany, and they all say they love to walk this golf course. The other thing is the family thing. I've flagged down some of the families out there on Sunday evenings, and they all say they'd hate to see this course go away because they can bring their kids out, parents and their kids. So those were really the only two things that I wanted to add to it. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
No. Someone? No? You got it?
Yeah, it's got to be done. The pros for leaving open, it's separate. Okay, seems to be a big deal about the parks. Everybody seems to be forgetting there's already a big park connected to the golf course, and there's people going back and forth all the time. The POA just spent money renovating that park. You definitely don't need another park. It's being used very well.
and it also promote it by putting, if they use the pavilion, put something in there to where you can use the golf course and the pavilion at the same time. Would be available if PUA decide to close it. Yeah, they've already mentioned that.
Great, thank you.
Hi. A lot of these points that have been made are very good points, and of course we recognize those also. A couple of things that came up with our group is that we can play Brittany in about an hour and a half, and sometimes we don't have time to go out and devote 4 or more hours to playing golf. Many of us are getting up in years and we get a little fatigued, and we're more than comfortable just to get in 9 holes and get our fix, so to speak, and look forward to coming back and doing it again. Other thing is all the infrastructure is there to support Brittany, and the course is in great shape. It's a fun place to play. And also it was pointed out that some people enjoy walking. Golf is a game of exercise, and I agree with that, and I enjoy walking. And in a lot of the other courses, you just can't walk. The distance between the greens and the next tee box are considerably longer, and you know, you can get worn out there, especially on a hot day. The other thing that we picked up on is the fact that they're feeling like like 80% of the people that would go to play Birksdale if Brittany was closed. I'm not convinced, and we talked about it at our table, that 80% of the people that enjoy playing 9 holes of golf are going to be willing to pay $10 more per round to go from Brittany over to Birksdale. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm being asked to repeat some that have already been repeated to emphasize them. Pro for closing, none. Con, property owners on golf course, if you're going to repurpose it, they need compensation. They bought intending it to be a golf course. Why reinvest in a golf course that may have a triggering event? Invest in the sure thing. Quote unquote, park now, pump track later, maybe. That's a bike training facility. Special groups, several have been mentioned, would lose where to go. There wouldn't be a place for them to play. The golf committee needs to add flexibility as to who plays where. And ideas to market to members, not public. I've grown up in a golf family, and member privileges mean something. And I think if you increase what privileges mean and market it that way, it will change the dynamic. Maybe have a Cooper Elementary Golf League. Maybe link someone that plays with a kid that his parents aren't going to play. Parent-child events, leagues, and then I want to make sure I get this one right because this was his master plan transparency. The POA transparency for a 10-year plan, and it shouldn't just be about golf courses.
Good, thank you.
Well, most of my table has had to leave, but I'll go ahead and give their concerns. Most everything has been mentioned. One of the things that was expressed here was that there's a fear that the cyclists will start using the walking trails, and that could be hazardous to the elderly and to the dog walkers that are using those trails at about the same time. There was a concern as to whether this park would be a private amenity or if it would be marketed to the public. There was
a question about the conversion cost and how long it would take to pay for that, to convert it from a golf course to a park. And so how long would it take us to actually start making that $40,000 a year? And one of the marketing ideas was to ask people to donate their old golf clubs or youth golf clubs for families to use for free who either can't afford to buy golf clubs or can't afford to rent golf clubs. That if you're going to make it, if we can make it a family-friendly course, then maybe we can also get some sets of golf clubs together. Probably everybody has one or two laying around that they could donate. And then going to the Cooper League, that might also be a good idea for them because those, golf clubs are expensive. And if you don't know if your kid's going to play golf, you don't want to invest a whole lot of money in that. So if we had people that could donate, kids' golf clubs, then maybe you could get that league started a little more easily. And we probably have some grandmas and grandpas around here whose grandkids don't live right here close, who would be willing to volunteer with that league, with a little kid league like that, to go out and just help them with strokes and things like that. So that was basically what we had.
Great, thank you.
So I got the privilege of representing our group. We didn't have any positives for closing Brittany. We do think that they need to promote it, especially the cost benefit. A lot of the people at this table didn't know that there was a significant cost saving in using Brittany. They're concerned about property values. Again, already a park at Metfield. And they're really concerned about there's no place to play for social golfers. They just want to take their time, have a good time, and then go to the Metfield Grill afterwards. So most of what you covered, we discussed, and we hope we make the right decision.
All right, thank you.
Hello. I want to wake everybody up. A couple of things I want to say. Most of what we have on this sheet has been mentioned before. One thing I want to mention is they brought up a chart that showed how the golfing in Bella Vista has went down. If you get Golf Magazine or any golf magazine or golf thing, you know that golfing nationwide has went down enormously. It's not just Bella Vista, and we need to fight against that. We need to train young people to play. We need to get seniors like me out there more often. Maybe this would be a perfect course to have a seniors league on. I think that the course needs to have some shorter tee boxes for people who don't hit it as far as they used to. And if they want to put a little bit of money in the course, they could put in a second cart path on the sides of some of the holes where you go down the big valleys and come up the other side. Because if you hit it right down the middle and you don't make it to the green, you got to walk down the hill and up the hill. And another cart path would make it a lot easier for seniors. There was nobody at our table was for closing this course. I talked to 8 other tables. Nobody at any of those tables was for closing this course. And I think if we had a vote in this room, that would be 90% against closing this course. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's not a question of when it's going to flood, it's a question of it is going to flood. So controversially, close Burksdale, quit treating Brittany as an orphanage, and let's go on down the road.
Thank you.
I guess I could just say ditto to everything in here. Everybody put some very good ideas into this program that we want to continue because this asset is so important to the livelihood that we have here in Bella Vista. You drive down 71, what do you see? You see 4 miles of good golf courses. Brittany provides a very unique position for unskilled new golfers and young golfers. We need to get the youth more involved for our city to thrive. Okay, everything has been covered. One thing I would like to see possibly would be an annual pass, somewhere maybe $500-600, unlimited play. I think that would generate a lot of income. If you sold 50 of those at $600, you'd have $30,000, 2/3 of what we lost, supposedly. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Amazing turnout, huh? A couple of things that were mentioned was the triggering event for the golf courses that would cause the golf committee to have to make a decision as to what they're going to do with golf courses. Possibly they could identify a triggering event for Brittany with regard to number of rounds. But if you look at the revenue that Brittany generates, if you increase the golf fees a little bit and considered the number of rounds to get to the revenue number, you're talking probably 5 or 6 rounds a day. Maybe with the number of people here, we could track on the POA website how many rounds are played at Brittany, and if it looks like the trend isn't continuing, then there's marketing that promotes that to make sure if the majority wants to keep it open, then everyone is informed as to what it's going to take to do that.
Great, thank you.
I think everything has been said that we wanted to say. Can you hear me? Gotcha. I think just about everything has already been said, but what I would like to add is that when I first learned how to play golf, it was through a college, very cheap, but at the end of each lesson, it included 9 holes of golf at an executive course. World of difference in your playing. We could do that very easily here. Promote families, young kids, grandchildren to learn, and after each, say 6 to 8 lessons, each time they would play Brittany and practice those skills. I think that would be a great idea of marketing. That's about it.
Thank you.
Like everybody said, we've covered everything that everybody else did, so we won't go over that. One thing that came up, if this is a cost savings, they laid out a very good plan that they were going to cut money by reducing the fertilizer and all this other stuff. They could apply that plan to all the golf courses, save money across the board. They need new cart paths, and having been around here for 40 years, I'm tired of seeing our private property be given over to public access. So that's about it. Okay.
Great, thank you.
Been covered. Everybody's covered all of our points.
Good. That's it?
That's everybody.
Great. Thank you. Those were some good stuff. We really appreciate everybody taking the time this evening and this afternoon. And I know there was some golf changes with some men's leagues, and we apologize for that. But thank you again for coming. And like I said, leave everything on the table. If you have any other notes, leave those on the table as well, and we'll make sure we collect them. We appreciate it. Thank you very much.